What's up, Entourage? Man, I have not been this excited in my entire career for night school. And no disrespect to anybody else that we've ever had at night school, but tonight, the man is here. The man is here. This guy is my hero. He is the coldest, most influential person I've ever had the privilege of shaking hands with. He's my personal mentor. His message is unmatched. He's the #1 fastest growing person in the history of Instagram. This dude is the truth, the light, and the way. And I'm excited to have him here today for you guys. Meet my friend, Ed Mylett. Ed, what's up, brother?
What's up, brother? My honor. I'm glad we are finally doing this. And let me say something before we start. You are the next, you're already doing it, but you are the next big legend in this space. And I don't say that because you're sitting in front of me. I want this group to know that you're in the midst of, you already know how powerful Ryan is. You know the influence and the reach he has. But there's one other level past even where almost no one gets in this space. And I know them when I see them. There's very few. In fact, there's really one a year. And I was thinking about it. I was getting ready this morning. I had this really busy book day, brother. I just wanted to tell you this. I was brushing my teeth this morning. I'm like, I'm going to tell him and his group, because I've not told you this. It's written all over you that you are the next great leader of influence, personal development, closing, sales. I don't know if you want to call it life strategy, whatever you want to call this space. You're the next truth in this space. I mean that sincerely, too. And I coach, as you know, a lot of the people that are in this space. And so I know when I see one, and there's only like 5 or 6 legit ones, and you're the next big player in this space. You're already doing it, but there's another level you're about to go to.
Man, I truly appreciate that. You know, and I work as if that's already the
case.
Wait, man, I believe it. And, you know,
I get asked about you, brother, more than people that are on my show, because the reason is this: your content is legit. And so what separates you is your content. So when I say you're the next big one, you're already big, but you know what I mean by that. Like where your real authority and giftedness is acknowledged by the masses of people like it should be. And so you've grown and grown and grown, and you've made all this money, and but there's another level, and you know what I'm talking about. It's that Tony Robbins, that certain space that's reserved for very, very few. And it's just obvious that it's you. So I just wanted to tell you that.
Man, I appreciate that. I don't think I've ever had a better compliment in my life, sir. So I'm grateful for that for sure.
It's a real one. It's a real one.
Well, man, you've had an amazing year. I mean, you like literally went from not having an Instagram or Facebook account to being the most popular dude across iTunes, Instagram, Facebook. Like, dude, that's amazing, man.
Thank you, brother. Well, I think it's a product of really good collaborations. And then we're like, really, honestly, man, like I've had the great fortune of collaborating, just like what we're doing right now, with so many great people. And then like everything, what separates you, brother, is I'm in a private jet center 2 weeks ago. This is no joke. And there's about 20. Last week I was in New England. There's like 30 people there that came, brought books. They knew I was going to be there, had me sign their books, right? And I'm not kidding you. I haven't even told you this. So I'm signing these books, and this guy goes, "Hey, like, who do you really look to in sales?" You know, and before I could answer, this other guy goes, "Do you know the hardcore closer?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know him a little bit," you know. So what separates you and what separates me, if I'm not bragging, but it's like the caliber of the content. Like either your stuff helps people or it doesn't. You can't go, you know, where you can't get access to people and your content sucks. Like you either have stuff that helps people, that's unique, that improves the quality of their life in some way, or you don't. And so I do think, you know, if I'm saying one thing that served me is that my content's good. You know, my content's good.
It is, man. You know, and not just your videos, but the words that are associated with the videos that you put online. And you're not like one of those people that just put stuff out there just to create content. Like if you've got something, it's a good message. You know, Andy's the same way. He's not going to just put something out there to hear his head rattle. He's putting stuff out there. Same with you. You guys are putting stuff out there that's legit, man, that people resonate with and get value from.
Yeah, well, that's mutual. You do too. This is really weird, everybody. Before we started here, you brought something up to me that I was already working on, and you're going to help me with it. And I just want you to know this. Right before we went live, I made a video. I'm not kidding. It's right. I should play it. I should actually play this for 1 minute. If you just to validate what you just said. I deleted it, but it's probably in my deleted videos. As I'm looking for it, I'll tell you this. I played. Where's deleted videos? You want to see this because it'll trip you out with what you just said. If I could find it, albums. How do you find deleted? Where do I go here? Deleted. Watch this. Dude, you're like a savant today. This is a trip. Let me see if you can hear this. Where is this sucker? Here we go. Watch this. Hey, everybody. I hope you're enjoying the Christine Simmons interview. It's blown up. And, oh, wrong one. Let's do this. Hey, everyone. I get asked a lot, like, how come you don't post stories, like 30, 40 stories a day like everybody else does? Well, number one, I don't do it because I don't want to waste your time. Right, just to move up in your feed so I'm at the top of your screen with useless stuff like other people do. And I don't mean that critically of other people. It's just I respect you too much. I think I respect myself too much to take the time to make useless videos that don't do one of these things. They either need to be funny, entertaining, inspirational, or great information. If I'm not posting that, I'm just cluttering up the top of your screen. So the point I'm making to you is, I don't know what kind of mode you're in today, but like you're literally reading my damn mind all day today. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. We talked about off camera. So yeah, I try to post stuff that has value, and I think you do that too. It's like I don't want to waste my own time. So if I'm going to say something, I want it to make a difference for people, and that's a great lesson for everybody listening to this too. It's like the more you value your own time and your own credibility, your own content, the own stuff you produce, the more other people will value it as well.
That's very true. That's very true. And you know, speaking of content, I was at an event with you where we met for the first time at your house up in Coeur d'Alene, which is absolutely stunning. And you said something to me the next day, or you said something to the group, not just to me, the next day when we were at your house. You were telling us a story of how they blew up the side of the mountain and built the house out of the rocks and all these custom things you did. And the next morning at the event, you said, raise your hand if last night coming to my house had your identity stretched. And everybody in the room raised their hand. Can you kind of explain how you've been able to continually stretch your identity to reach the pinnacle of success that you're at?
Yeah, and I want to keep doing it. It's very difficult. You can do it, but it's very difficult to stretch your own vision and your own identity. That's the power of other people, right? So, and also there's to the extent to which you have proximity to power is to the extent that it has influence over you, which is why participating in groups like this matters. So the best way to change your identity, to stretch your identity, stretch your vision, truly is the power of association. For example, I just left a lunch with my pastor, okay? I'm a much wealthier man than him. But in my faith life, the closer I can get to men like him, the more faithful, the more prayerful, the better Christian man I am in my faith. So that proximity to men who live at a higher identity in their faith than me has an influence over me. In wealth, it's the same thing. You've got to put yourself in circumstances and situations and collaborations and groups that stretch you, make you uncomfortable, almost like, man, do I belong here? And what happens to us when we put ourselves in situations, do I belong with this guy? Do I belong in this place? What happens is the more you put yourself in those conditions, the more you trick your brain into believing, I do belong here. Your brain gravitates towards what it's most familiar with. And so the more familiar you become with these better places, better levels, better people, higher living people, the more your brain believes you belong there and your vision gets stretched, your identity gets changed through approximation. So for me, it's people in my life like a Phil Knight or a Sly Stallone or guys you don't know like a Bruce Ward who's a real estate developer. This morning I was with Jerry West, who's one of my friends and mentors. The more I'm with those people, the more my identity changes in the areas where they're strong. So proximity and putting yourself in environments with people, that's what alters you. That's why this group's so incredible. It's the group itself, and it's being in proximation to you, and then also through you, who you can bring them through associations with as well. That's why you're with my group, right? And so that's how you do it. If you think you're going to sit around and read the rest of your life, and that's going to change your identity, it'll change it some, but it's going to take you 20, 30, 40 years. But if you want to make a quantum leap, like I want to move over 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, 1 year, I want to alter my life, you got to put yourself in associations, period.
I agree, you know, and I'll ask you, if you remember this, when I was making 10 or 20 grand a month, man, I thought I was in tall cotton. That's a saying in Texas, like you got, some good plants or whatever. And then as I graduated from those friends that were making 5 or 10 grand a month and start looking for mentors like you with massive 9-figure net worths and everything else, I realized just how poor I really was, and I was humble. And a lot of people don't want to be humble like that. They want to be the big fish. But I believe in order to truly grow and stretch that identity, you have to be with people that I call it friending up. You have to be friends and be a part of a network that's bigger than what you have now, so that you can see what's possible and have that identity straight.
Yeah, the key thing you said there, brother, 100% agree, is friending up. So the highest level of influence is friend. So the low level thing you're seeking is just a mentor. What did I just tell you before we started here? I said, brother, this year, me and you need to spend some time breaking bread, right? I don't want to be your mentor. I want to be your friend. Now, it happens so that many of my friends began as mentors, but I have got kids. And so I worry about who my kids' teachers are, because that's their mentor. That has influence over them, right? But any of you parents, if there's any parents listening to this, or you were once a kid, so you know this, you don't really worry about who their teachers, you worry about who their friends are. Who they hang around at school is going to be who they are, right? Well, that doesn't change once you're 22 or 28 or 35 or 52. And so my friends, I try to turn my mentors into friends, just like what you do very well. How do you do it? You're really good at this. The law of reciprocity. Someone begins as a mentor. I look up to you. I admire you. I did this with Tony Robbins, one of my heroes. I look up to you. I admire you. I put myself, by spending lots of money in circumstances when I was around him. And then from that, it became a mentor, where like he knew my name, right? I remember the first 3 times he called me Ted. Right? And then I think I was like 23, he finally started calling me Eddie, which is what my friends call me, right? Ed or Eddie. I'm like, oh, he knows my name. And then it became where we were familiar. And then over time, through reciprocity, meaning I brought things to his life, it was reciprocal, we moved out of that mentor relationship into friends. And that's when the influence really began to really take shape. And now it's been a 20-some-odd year relationship. So the same is true for all of you. You get into these groups, you seek out mentors. Now you're a proximity, say, this far away. So before they were someone you just read their books or followed their social media. It's this far. They have influence over you. They're changing their life, right? All of you could say that's changing my life. Then you get into a group like this, and you're this close to them, and now their pull power is even more. And your job from here, if you can, is to do like this with them. And now, guess what happens? You wake up after a period of time, and your lives look like this too. And that's how it happens, is becoming friends. So great point.
It's very true. You know, one of my mentors is a guy named Frank Kern.
Sure.
And, you know, he's worked with me for probably 10 years now. And now we text back and forth. It's friends. You know, he comes to me for advice. I come to him for advice, and we're just friends. There's no more I coach Ryan or whatever. We've just become, you know, friends. Like you said, we've got that connection. Yeah.
I remember the first time. It was funny that, and this is, I'm just using Tony as an example, but this just gives the power to this group. It's funny how moments stick out in your life. I remember the first time Tony introduced me as his friend. He said, I want you to meet my dear friend, Ed Mylett. And I went, whoa, we're friends. This is cool now. I guess we are friends. I thought we were, but we are.
Right.
Like, you know, I've heard him fart 52 times. Like, we're buddies, right? Like, it's probably more than that, as a matter of fact. But you know what my point is, like, we're, and it's funny, but our lives now are really similar. And then from there, I'm like, okay, well, who else is there? You know, and frankly, several of those people he introduced me to, right? And now I've introduced him to a few. And so it just becomes one of these great dynamics. I'm going to take a picture too, just like you were doing.
You know, a lot of people say that, Ed. They say, well, how do I get into these networks and things of that nature? When the truth is, you nailed it. You have to give back. Like, Frank wouldn't be my friend. You wouldn't be my friend if I wasn't providing some sort of value to you. On top of that, it's one thing to provide the value of money to be in a mastermind or mentorship, but it's another to actually become somebody that says, hey, Ed, let me hook you up with my buddy David. Hey, Ed, let me hook you up with my buddy Kent so you can speak at his event. So it's not like, you know, I'm always texting you going, hey, Ed, who can you hook me up with? Hey, Ed, hook me up with David. Hey, and you're not asking me, Ryan, who can you hook me up with either? That I care about you. I know you're the real deal, and I want you in these circles with me. The same thing goes for you. You know, a lot of people.
You're exactly right. I'm constantly, you're wonderful at this, is what I do too. Is like, so if I were in this group, what does that look like? That means, hey, I've gotten now closer to Ryan, right? I want to somehow separate myself. So is there something I can do for the group? Is there a way I become a leader? Is it information I provide? Is it a relationship I provide? Is it, you know, if it's regular posting, whatever it is, you got to do something to separate from the group to identify yourself as like, this is reciprocal here. And so it's really interesting you say that. I was at a thing this weekend. I'm always thinking about this stuff. And this guy sits down at a table I'm at, and we start talking. He goes, hey, when you were up in Coeur d'Alene for your Arete Syndicate meeting, I don't know if you know this or not, but Gunnar Peterson stayed with us. And I said, you're kidding me. He goes, yeah, I knew he was speaking at your meeting. We've never met before, right? The next guy in the room has a software company that you and I know. And I end up texting Gunnar saying, hey, I'm sitting here with Blake, your buddy from Coeur d'Alene. But guess who else I'm sitting here with, right? I'm sitting here with so-and-so, and this is the dude you need to be posting your personal training stuff with, man. I can connect you to. And so now I'm building a friendship with Gunnar that supersedes just some business relationship where I'm bringing him value, he's bringing me value. Now we're having influence over each other.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So many people miss that part because, you know, a lot of people, and you know this, they operate from the what's in it for me network as opposed to what can I do for you network, man. And there's a big shift when you start doing things for others. You become a servant leader as opposed to a taker, you know?
Yeah, well, you shed being mediocre because that's a poor to middle class level of thinking. See, the elite at everything. I mean, I hate to use the same names, but Tom Brady makes his teammates better.
True.
Tom Brady's concerned about other teammates. He gets out of himself and into other people's spaces. And so that is just literally a level of existence. It's a level of thinking. If you are still thinking, what's in it for me? What can I get? What can I take? There's nothing wrong with that. It's just indicative that you're a middle-class thinker, right? And you got to shift that because I'll tell you, all of my really good friends, all of them, I mean, every one of them, and all of the people that I think are the most fulfilled and successful are regularly trying to be servant leaders, servant friends, and give to others. It's just who they are.
Yeah, you know, you're right. And there's stories, you know, and you can look this up, that Tom Brady doesn't necessarily make the most in the NFL, even though he's won more championships. He's actually taken pay cuts so that he can have a better team around him to win, man. And there's not too many people that think that way.
It's funny. Tommy's dad and Tom are a member of the same club I was at this weekend. Tom's not there, obviously, but his dad's there a lot. And there was this great debate in there, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. I mean, no disrespect to you Packers fans, but everyone says all the time, well, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have any weapons around him. That's why he doesn't win. I'm like, well, number one, that's not true. And number two, guess why? He's the highest freaking paid player in the league. You can't pay him $35 million and have three great wide receivers. And so Brady gets it. Brady wants to win. He wants to contribute. And by the way, Brady doesn't have any weapons either. But the point is, he still gives to the team constantly. He's always taking less money. He's always the guy supporting other people. Tommy made a post this morning. Tommy still puts out birthday greeting posts for guys who haven't played with him in 8 and 9 years. This morning on Instagram, Tom has a happy birthday, big brother, to Willie McGinnis, who I don't think has played for the Patriots in 10 years. That's the kind of teammate he is.
It's true, man.
Yeah.
You know, I talk about this thing, Ed, called the force of average. And, you know, a lot of salespeople, they have up and down months. You know, people get successful, then they get divorced. People get successful, then fight with their business partners. And I talk about how the force of average has a chokehold on a lot of people. Every time they get successful, their subconscious kicks in and finds a way to destroy it. You have a similar thought process about the thermostat. Would you kind of explain your thought process on that to us?
Yeah, well, you're right. I love your content, brother. And I do a lot of stuff. And, you know, I'm not always complimenting the host all the time. So this is sincere. So the most powerful force in the human spirit is to be consistent with your identity, period. Your identity is the concepts, thoughts, and worth that you hold for yourself, period. You are going to do everything in your life to prove to yourself that you are consistent with the identity that you hold for yourself. So the key to our life, first we have to improve our skills and our tactics and our strategies. If we don't have those, we can't move. But even with those, there are millions and millions of people with talents and skills who don't improve the quality of their life because of their identity, what you call the force for average. That identity is like this thermostat right over there on that wall right there, right? And that thermostat sets the temperature for this room. It's right now, it's warm actually. It's 76 degrees, okay? What's that? It regulates the temperature of this room's existence. So the outside forces don't regulate it. people are confused to think outside forces dictate the quality of their life. They do not. For example, if I opened this door and it was 95 degrees outside and hot air blew in this room, that thermostat will kick on and cool the room right back to 76, no matter what the external force is. Conversely, I open the door, it's 50 degrees and blows in cold air. The heater turns on, regulates the room back to 76. That's your identity in your life. And so what happens is you turn the heater on in your life. You got it going. You're making more money. You've closed more deals. You saved 20 grand. Your relationship's great. Things are rocking and rolling. All of a sudden, you don't know why, but 6 months later, you're back where you were. Everyone's nodding their head. You're like, well, you don't get it. My car broke down. Some appointments canceled. The guy I was going to close had a heart attack. You know, it's just like stuff happened. No, it did not. Trust me, okay? Trust me. Those same things could have happened, and you would have found other things if you were a 95-degree identity person. And so what you did is you got your life back down to where you're comfortable, to where your identity is. You set the thermostat at 76. That's what you're going to get. The same is also happening, the reverse. You're like, man, I haven't closed anything in months. I'm broke. I'm back on my cell phone bill. I'm behind on rent. I'm never going to eat again. Top ramen, what, you know, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, 6 months later, you're kind of back to where you were. You didn't starve. You didn't die. You didn't quit. You get it back. So the key is that's turning the heater on. The key is changing that thermostat temperature, period. I am addicted, obsessed, relentless, psycho crazy with doing every single thing I can to change the most powerful force in my life, which is my identity. By the way, those of you that have faith, part of my identity raising is my faith for me. So don't think they're separated. Those of you that are like, well, that sounds like you think your own God. I'm not saying that at all. Part of my identity is I am favored by God, right? Part of that identity is I am a good man. I do plant seeds. There is a harvest. But you will never exceed your dadgum identity. And it's the part you need to be working on the most to change your life. I'm watching it with you. Since we first talked to now, you're a little bit different. And by the way, a little bit different for you is massive because you already play at a high level. So you high-level players that are kind of coming up, it's even more incumbent because it's the separator. It's the difference, not to go back to Brady, but it's the difference between playing in 8 freaking Super Bowls in 16 years. 8 every other year. This dude plays in the damn Super Bowl. Okay? How do you do that? Because he's constantly evolving his identity. Yes, he's evolving his practice and his stretching, but he's evolving his identity, what he thinks he's worth, what he thinks he deserves. All the work he puts in reinforces next identity, next identity. And I know Tommy a little bit. He's a freak about reading, a freak about associations. His circle is so damn small, man. Who he'll let in his head, who he talks with, it's crazy. And I'm that way as well. I know I already can talk. I can close. I'm trying to improve my skills. That's going to move me this much. But I got to improve my identity. So who do I have breakfast with today? Who do I talk to regularly on the phone? Who do I hang around? That moves your identity. Huge thing. That's why this group's so great.
And, you know, a lot of people are scared. And I used to tell this to real estate agents, say, if you want to sell $1 million houses, take the $250,000 houses off your website. And a lot of people are scared to move those thermostat setting friends and relationships from their life to where they can change their identity. I mean, forever. I mean, I'm a guy from the hood. I hung out with the killers and the drug dealers, you know, and then now I hang out with hedge fund managers and lawyers and stuff like that. And it was difficult to let some of those old people go, but I knew that it wasn't going to serve me. So how did you go about, or how do you go about coaching people to cut those ties and move up?
Well, here's the hard truth, because I'm older than almost everybody on this call, right? Is that you're going to lose them anyway. Just so you know. So if you're deluded into thinking, I'm going to go live a particular life, but I get to keep some of these dudes. By the way, I have friends of mine who aren't financially successful that have been my friends for 25 years. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a dude who's to your detriment. They think negatively. They're haters. They pull against you. They're going the other way. They live wrong. I'm not talking about your buddy who's like funny. You can keep that dude in the corner. You got to have a few of those. But it's the people you must shed. And here's the deal. You're going to shed them anyway. I'm 47 years old, man. Look, let me tell you who I hang around. I hang around people that live like me. You know why? They live near me. I can look right next door. They're right over there, right? Like, you're going to eventually be around the people where you live, where your life's at. You're going to have conversations with them. There's nothing worse than having the 35th same conversation with the same dude. Remember when like, dude, I don't need the 36th one. I already know the joke. I already know where we were. Yeah, I remember, right? My friends and I rarely sit around. Here's how you know you're with the wrong person. They're talking about stuff that's already happened. Actually, even if they're talking about stuff that's currently happening, most of my friends, we are talking present and future tense conversations almost all the time. So you go, who do I shed? The hater, the negative, the dweeb, the loser, the drug addict, the guy who cheats on his wife all the time. You shed these people, right? Okay. The guy who blows all his money, the guy with the coke habit, you got rid of them. But then you got to start to go, man, when I talk with this person, how much of it is present and future tense? How much of it is vision stretching? How much of it is dream selling? How much of it is exciting? How much of it is growth? Or how much of it is like, hey, bro, what you do today? Did you eat a sandwich? You know, remember when we were in third grade? Like those things just don't serve you anymore. And if you don't shed them, they will be the reason when you're 90 years old, you regret your life. And by the way, they won't be here anyway.
Dude, that's so true. Because when I'm with the people that I surround myself with, we always talk about what's going on in the future. We never talk about what happened. I mean, it just never comes up. But we're all on the same mental focus for moving ahead as opposed to what's already happened.
And what's most crazy about it is these are people whose pasts are pretty damn cool if they wanted to reminisce on them, right? It's amazing, but like you cannot get Sugar Ray Leonard's become a pretty good friend of mine. He's a stud. And then here's the truth. I can't even get it. It's so hard for him. Like, what was it like when Tommy Hearns hit you? What was it like with Roberto Duran? And he's like, well, Durant hit the hardest, but the fact is, like, he doesn't really like going back there because he's still freaking winning, right? Like, so you really need to watch this with the people that you know. And it's funny because the most successful people also have the best damn stories they could be telling you about the past, and they just don't want to go there. They want to go forward. So this is something to really watch.
Man, that's a good, pay close attention to what Ed just said. When you're evaluating your circle, those that talk about the past and talk about peaks that happened decades ago, those are the first folks that got to go.
The other thing, those people that got to go, they talk about other people.
Oh, man, that's big too.
Like, if they just like enjoy talking about it. And by the way, sometimes it's not even negative. So it's like, hey, what do you think of Larry? What do you think of Sarah? They just like to talk about other people. Why do they like to do that? It might not even be gossip. Because if they could get you talking about them, you ain't paying attention to how bad they're losing. Right? So do they talk about the past or barely the present? And are they talking about other people? And if they are doing those things, they are not positive for your identity to grow, period.
Man, that's huge. That's huge. Yeah. So I want to be respectful of your time. I know that we had a couple of people at the beginning, but you have a book that's out, right? I've given out probably 50 copies of it to you know, and it's still available on Amazon and everything else.
800,000 of them have been gone.
100,000?
Yeah, in 4 months.
That is fucking amazing, man.
It's sold out a bunch of times, but by the way, it's like what I'm gonna do with your group. So here's how. Let me say this to you, and you're being polite. It's barely a book. It's 100 pages. I wrote it so in a day or two, if you're damn slow, you could get this. Okay. So the other thing in the book is, like, I just don't think people read very much anymore. So I wanted it to be something that almost every page has content. There's no like filler pages. Almost every page, there's some stuff in there. Your group can get it for free. They just go to maxoutbook.com, put in the code maxout, and you got to pay to ship it to you, but the book's free. It just sold out again, but I think they've upped another 16,000 books, I think, got printed today. It just keeps going. It's a good book. It'll help you. There's content in there. A lot of the stuff about identity, persuasion, influence, the reticular activating system in your brain, some good inspirational stuff as well, but a lot of tactics are in there. So I appreciate you mentioning it.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, I wake up every morning with you. You don't realize this because, you know, we don't typically talk about this, but like when I wake up, I listen to your Max Out podcast. That's the first thing that hits my eardrums every morning, Ed, because you always have something positive, something. So, you know, I know that when I wake up, when I eventually check my email or my messages, there's going to be some bullshit in there that's going to make me, right? The struggle's going to show up. So your program, your podcast, first thing in the morning, programs me to be positive and be grateful before I got to go face the bullshit, man. And I'm just so grateful for that, dude.
Thank you, brother. I enjoy doing it, and I'm loving this, man. I'm loving helping people. Honestly, brother, the greatest reward for me, and I got into this space for this reason, and Tony will tell you this. I'm 47. I'm going to be in this for the long term, but I want to be the king maker. I want to hold up the kings and queens of this space. I want to say, and I want to use my credibility to go, that one, not that one. That one's full of shit. That one's never built anything. That one got handed everything. That one repeats their content. This one's legit. And so my greatest reward is when I see someone who I probably get some value out of my stuff, evolves it, takes it to their own level, and has their own content. You're very diverse, dude. And you're very diverse because you really make money. You really come from nowhere. You really understand persuasion and closing, which at the heart of everything, and this is something we didn't get into today, but I do want to say this. If you can't persuade and you can't close, you are going to lose in life. I don't care if you're a doctor and you want to heal people. You better be able to persuade them to stay on their medication. You better be able to persuade them to go to the physical therapy. And so you are a master. You are, and here's the other thing that you are. You're a modern day teacher. In other words, you're not teaching some dude stuff from 1977 that you tweaked a little bit that's now yours. You're a modern day person who gets influence and persuasion and closing. That's huge. You strap that onto your ability about life strategy and the stuff we're talking about, peak performance. You're one of the dudes that I want to hold up big time. I think you're, and then you're gifted. Your ability to communicate and talk is God-given. You're anointed in the sense that you're great at that. And so, and you know, I've never told you any of this until today. It's like, I'm really excited about holding up 4, 5, 6 people that I think could really help change the world, because the world needs us, dude. Right now, the room I'm in has 3 TVs. None of them are on. And the reason is, if I turn this shit on, excuse my language, man, but if I turn this thing on, it's just a cesspool of just negative, excuses, pitting people against each other, this group against that, Republican, Democrat, gay, straight, gun owner, non-gun owner, pro-life, all this, like every single thing. And like, there's only one medium putting out positive things, only one medium bringing people together, one medium creating change, elevating consciousness, elevating thought, elevating humans, and it's this space. And if you think about it, on Earth, we can name the 5 or 10 people of any damn influence over this space. You remove this space that we're all doing, getting wealthy, entrepreneurship, personal development, changing your life, thinking better, living better, fulfillment, happiness, success, wealth. You take that out and you let that stuff that's on that TV dictate the world, it's doomed, it's over. So I feel like humanity, like the force for good in the world is being held together. This is no bullshit either. By like 5, 10, 15 people. Right? And so if we can add to that group, and there's another great one, which is you, I want to do anything I can to hold them up, because we need an army. That's why we have RK. That's a whole other topic. But I'm excited about you, man. Very, very excited about it. I think you're incredible.
Dude, I really appreciate that, man. Dude, you are so right. With it, there is just a handful of people spreading them, like you and Tony and a few other folks, man, that are, you're right, man. They're really the glue that's like, you know, because you can go, you have a choice. You can watch CNN or you can watch an Ed Mylett podcast or video and
what's serious,
stop for Ed and be motivated.
Yeah, you used to be able to go, hey, you know, John F. Kennedy or Ronald Reagan, or maybe a little bit with Obama for a few people in the right party, not me, but in the right party. Like you go, hey, these guys are inspirational. Now there's no, politicians aren't even inspirational. No one's inspirational. Like no one's giving hope. No one's, it's like you basically got to go to church or that's it. And so this space, and all of you listen to this, you know, whatever your business is, you're an entrepreneur, you're making money. I consider you in this space. You're owning your life, the own your life, the change your life, the change your family, the live your dream, the kick some ass, to make something special of your life, to do something fucking great with your life. Space is held together by like a thread of people, right? And that group needs to be bigger. And there's some people equipped that are ready to be the next one. And that's what I meant in the beginning about you. I think you're ready to be the next one. Like, hey, when I think of that group, there's 3, 4, and you know what? Boom, you're in it. And that's, I think you're ready to emerge into that space. And so that's what I want my job to be. If I'm the only one, not that I'm not, but if I were one, I haven't done my job if everyone just looks at me. I've done my job if I found some leaders that are forces for good in the world, and I kind of know them when I see them. Yours is obvious. So,
dude, that's badass. Well, Ed, I appreciate your time. I will see you 2 times next month. And are you going to Grant's event 10X? Are you going to be down there?
I'm not. I'm going to be in the Bahamas, but there you go. Well, I'll have you. You're going to be standing right out there like, I don't know, 4 weeks with me. So it'll be cool.
I love it. Where are you going in the Bahamas?
I am going to Atlanta. No, I'm going to the Four Seasons, but I'm going to a place called Baker's Bay.
Okay.
It's a private club there that's owned by one of the other clubs that I belong to. In fact, Brady is a member there. But I'm going there with A-Rod. So going out there with A-Rod. So with my family.
That's awesome, man. Speaking about a hell of a network, A-Rod, somebody good to have in that network, man. I'll be in the Bahamas on January 30th myself, man.
Oh, man. Where are you going?
So we take a little private jet mastermind to Nassau for the day at the resort there. So
that sounds spicy. We'll enjoy it.
Yep,
All right,
good
well,
times.
great to be with your group, man. And you got to reach out to me. I told you we need to do that dinner soon, so I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, man. And I'm going to text my friend that we talked about before with your info as soon as we get off here. Thanks again, Ed. I appreciate your time, and I know how important it is. I couldn't be more appreciative, dude. Thank you.
My privilege, man. Great to be with all of you. God bless you all. Max out. See ya.
See you soon.